Okay, guys, I'm here to give my third review in my Great American Bash review series. Since it is June, I decided to do a Great American Bash review series. Now, I'm very aware that the event started in July, but it became, at least for WCW after a while, became their June pay-per-view from 95 to 2000. The WWE put it back at July, although in 04 it was back in June. And I'm going to review all 16 Great American Bashes. So, the 11 from WCW and the 5 from WWE. So, Great American Bash 1990 took place on July the 7th, 1990 from the Baltimore Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. I think the first 4 of these were hosted there. And then I think from 96 and 2000 were also there. I know this arena has hosted a total of 7 Great American Bashes. So, I just don't know which 7. So, because I actually had not seen most of these shows. So, this is an 11 match card, so we have 55 total stars maximum for this show. Opening contest: Nature Boy Buddy Landel versus Flyin Brian. Oh, okay match. Not bad per se. Flyin Brian wins with a crossbody off the top rope. 2 stars. So then it's Captain Mike Rotunda, which, in case you're wondering, for people who may not know who that is IRS from the WWE. I don't really know where this captain gimmick came from off the top of my head. I know it's what he's doing when he left the varsity club, but that's all I know. And it's Captain Mike Rotunda versus the Iron Sheik. Yes, the Iron Sheik was in the WCW right before he went back to the WWE, and for some reason got renamed. But I'll talk about that during the SummerSlam review series. 1 star here. Rotunda wins, but the Sheik dominates most of the match, so it's 1 star. So then we get Doug Furnas versus Dutch Mantell. Who's Dutch Mantell? Some younger viewers might be asking. Dutch Mantell is Zeb Coulter, the guy who is managing Jack Swagger in the WWE. Although I have no idea where Jack Swagger is, and I really don't care. But yeah, that's who Dutch Mantell is. He was brought in with a couple other people to, they were looking for Stan Hansen or something like that, but Hansen didn't want anything to do with the angle. So after a while, they just became jobbers. And Doug Furnas actually showed up in the WWE for a short time from 96 to 97. This is a very boring match. It's boring. It's half a star, and Doug Furnas wins with a belly-to-belly suplex. Just boring match. So then we get Harley Race versus Tommy Rich. Yes, in 1990, Harley Race was still wrestling. Yeah, I think this might be his last match. I don't really know. But they used the whole fact that in 1981, Tommy Rich beat Harley Race for the NWA World Championship. So, Race wins when he reverses a top rope crossbody. He rolls through it and hooks the leg and wins. Half a star. Jim Ross brings up that that Harley Race must be a fan of the Sacramento Kings or something, because his tights have a crown on the back of them. Honestly, that is basically because he was King Harley Race in the WWE, so I guess he decided not to change that for part of his tights. I don't know. So then we get our first of 4 title matches, and my biggest gripe with this is 3 title matches are back to back to back. And I've always thought you should find a way, if you have to if you can, to separate title matches. But that's just a personal thing. But it's the WCW United States Tag Team Championship match. It's the Midnight Express versus the Southern Boys, or as they keep getting announced for this match, the Wild-Eyed Southern Boys. Who are the Southern Boys? Well, they're Steve Armstrong and Tracy Smothers, who showed up in ECW in the 90s as part of the Full-Blooded Italians. I don't know how someone from the South ends up in a group like that, but ever. And of course, Steve Armstrong is a member of the Armstrong family. He's the Road Dogg's brother, in case you're curious about that. This is a formulaic tag match. It's 2.5 stars, and the Midnight Express win after a kick to the back of Smothers' head from Stan Lane, who was on the apron. So then it's the Z-Man versus Big Van Vader in Vader's North American debut, because he was primarily wrestling strictly in Japan until this. This is a squash match. Vader wins. It's no stars. Vader wins. And in 2 years' time, Vader would be the WCW champion. And by 1993, he'd be the WCW champion a second time, and he would hold it for almost an entire year. So then we get the Steiner brothers versus the Fabulous Freebirds in another formulaic tag match, but not as good as the one with the Southern Boys and the Midnight Express. This is a 1.5 star match with the Steiners winning. After they do this thing where Jimmy Garvin DDT Scott Steiner and goes for a pin, but he's not the legal man, so the referee gets Garvin out of the ring because Michael Hayes is the legal man, and then Rick Steiner overhead belly to belly is Michael Hayes, and Scott covers. That's more of a heel kind of a win, if you want my opinion. That's kind of like the Steiners won in a heel fashion in a way, because that's a heel finish. That's a finish that a heel team would use. Now, granted, it's the Steiners taking advantage of their surroundings, but it is still predominantly a heel finish in a way. So then we get a 6-man tag match. Junkyard Dog, Paul Orndorff, and El Gigante versus the Horsemen of Barry Windham, Sid Vicious, and Arn Anderson. El Gigante. I still have to talk about this guy in my SummerSlam review series. This guy is the worst wrestler ever. The Great Khali, as bad as he is better than this guy ever was. In fact, he doesn't even do anything in this match. Junkyard Dog and Paul Orndorff worked the entire match for their team here. All Gigante does is just get in at the very, very end. It's 1 star. So then we get the WCW United States Championship match. Lex Luger versus Mean Mark Callis, who, if you don't know, is The Undertaker. In fact, I think this is his last appearance in WCW, I think. He might have had 1 or 2 more, but I know it's his final pay-per-view one, because by Survivor Series, by November that year, he'd be in the WWE as probably the single most iconic character the WWE ever created in The Undertaker. Which, by the way, the thing which is the best gimmick Mark Callis ever had. This is a 2-star match. Luger wins off, I believe, his forearm. So then we get the WCW World Tag Team Championship match. Doom versus the Rock and Roll Express. Doom is, of course, Ron Simmons and Butch Reed. Now, Jim Ross makes a mistake on commentary here, technically, when he says that Doom is the first black World Tag Team Champions. It's true in the NWA they were, but in wrestling they were the second. Because if you know your wrestling history, the first African-American tag team champions were Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas, who won the titles, I believe, in 1983 from the Wild Samoans. Now, Jim Ross shouldn't mention that because it's a WWE thing anyway, but but in a way he probably should have. He goes out there to second and not even mention who the first one was. But, this is another formulaic tag match in a traditional Rock and Roll Express style. It's Ricky Morton who faced the face in peril type of thing, which is the guy who takes the majority of the beating for the match on the face side in a formulaic tag team match. Doom wins after a shoulder block off the top by Butch Reed. So then we get the main event. The WCW World Heavyweight Championship match. Ric Flair versus Sting. Now, for those of you who don't know, Ric Flair and Sting first met at the very first Clash of the Champions that was up against WrestleMania 8. Those two had a classic 45-minute time limit draw. Okay, so now here, Sting is in the main event of the second biggest WCW pay-per-view, the Great American Bash, challenging for the world title, coming off of an injured knee. There are some stipulations here, like the Junkyard Dog, Paul Orndorff, and the Steiners are assigned to each of the four corners, except the Steiners are actually not in a corner. Neither of them are in a corner. They're standing like about right here, and the corners are over here. Well, each Steiner is about here, roughly. And Ole Anderson is handcuffed to El Gigante. They really wanted to get this guy seem like a big deal. Great match here. In fact, they play back the finish of how Flair won at the Great American Bash in '89. Flair goes for the figure 4, and Sting turns it into a small package and wins the match. And wins his first WCW World title. First of what I believe is 9 in WCW, but I could be wrong, because I'm pretty sure at Fall Brawl '99 they say he was going for his 9th World Championship. I could be wrong on that, though. So this was Sting's very first World Championship win. It's a 4-star match. Sting and Flair had good matches. Now, their match on the last Nitro, not so much, but then again, that place was going out of business, but it is the best match on the final Nitro's card, minus the Cruiserweight Tag Title match. But, yeah. Which, if it's on WWE Network, I might actually review the final Nitro because it's a historic show, but other than that, Sting and Flair, best rivalry that Sting and Flair had in WCW. So, Sting, of course, would go on to main event Halloween Havoc against Sid Vicious, and he main evented Starrcade against the Black Scorpion, which was Ric Flair anyway. So that's a 4-star match, so our total stars is 17.5 out of 55. So it's 10 total stars from being a C. So this is around the D plus to C minus range, somewhere in there. It's not as good as the Great American Bash '89, which, as I said, is a good show, but maybe not the greatest pay-per-view ever, like a lot of people think it is. It's good. It is a good show, though. So the next Great American Bash that I will be reviewing is '91, which some people consider the worst Great American Bash, at least from WCW. But I'll answer that question tomorrow when I watch that and review that for the Great American Bash review series. This will be in the Great American Bash review series playlist. If you like the video, like button down there, subscribe button down there, and thanks for watching. Bye.